Hi everyone, we're back again live at the GuideWell Insights Lounge. My name is Kate Warnock, coming to you from the Oliver Wyman Health Innovation Summit, and I'm so pleased to bring John Coyle, who was with Oliver Wyman. John, welcome to the interview.
Thanks for having me.
We're happy to have you. So John, I know that you have a very interesting position at Oliver Wyman. I was hoping you could give us just a little background on what you do.
So most people know what we do in terms of Oliver Wyman's ability to help create strategies to help companies navigate the changing healthcare marketplace. My role in Oliver Wyman is to lead our strategic IT and operations focus in healthcare, because operations and IT issues are so important to executing on the strategies that we create.
Absolutely. So I think that you probably bring a very unique perspective and an interesting filter to looking forward at Health Market 2.0. So what do you see are the changes that are coming in this new healthcare economy?
Right. So there's a lot of change that's been underway for quite some time. The data interoperability issues and the cost transparency issues have been fundamental in making healthcare work differently. What we see really happening, though, is a better appreciation of beyond the technology of what needs to happen to make it work. A tremendous amount of money has been pushed into technology in the form of EMRs and provider practices, and all this is foundational, but it really isn't going to, I think people understand it's not going to get us everywhere we need to go in all kinds of ways, because at the end of the day, we need to create digitally enabled businesses that are information driven to solve the healthcare problem in its totality, not just to deliver better care, but to really help people have better quality lives. So the fundamentals around that are the ability to help people help each other, which might be a strange thing to hear from a technologist, but at the end of the day, that's basically what we're trying to do if you think about it in the broadest sense. Things like social networking, which we use today for generally unimportant things, tomorrow may become the platforms for care delivery and helping people through their own health and wellness journeys. That requires a lot of change culturally, which we see in the millennials today compared to older generations like mine, for example. A certain openness about sharing information, that's going to be very different. Whether it's genomic information, which people may get comfortable with sharing and crowdsourcing with others so they can help them understand what their own risks are for their health and what's possible, as well as just helping people collaborate to provide better care. When we think about that as a technical problem, but the technologists have the easier part of the job. The ethicists, the lawyers, the administrators, the policymakers, the people trying to figure out how to make this make business sense really have the tougher part of that job. So I think these are the kind of changes that we get really excited about.
But you're there to help enable it, so that's an exciting role to be in. I know that you have a particular passion around the Internet of Things.
Right.
So I'm wondering, if, give an idea of how we might see the Internet of Things really start to impact the healthcare delivery system.
Oh, absolutely. So it's easy to get excited about data, and it's well talked about. What's really different about the Internet of Things is having so many more, and I mean we're talking orders of magnitude of more real-time information about you and where you are on the most mundane aspects of your life that we could never afford to study. But now we can. We have the processing power, the storage capacity, and the Internet-enabled endpoints throughout your life, whether it's your wearables, the light switch, the power meter in your home, that can tell an awful lot about you through statistical regressions. So what this means is we can learn more about ourselves and each other and find more ways to make changes, hopefully modest changes, to our lifestyle, our habits, our sleep patterns, our nutrition, things like that we know are fundamental to living well and long. We can study people in a way we could never afford to before, and that's going to allow us to really have medicine that's about an individual as opposed to broad strokes about a segment of people that on average isn't really about anybody. So the advances in our own understanding of people are going to drive a tremendous amount of change, and that's powered by technology and data and the advances in science.
Terrific. Well, you know, obviously from your position, you have that strategic focus, you have, you know, both the IT and the operations side. I think that you could really speak to this question well. What are the barriers to transformation and to realizing the possibility of the new technological advances that you just kind of referenced?
Yeah. So I will say the technologists, again, have the easiest job here. Leading change, leading innovation in healthcare incumbents, which is most of where the healthcare money is today, obviously, is the real tough problem. And I think this is a well-studied problem, but basically I think there's some patterns that we see that are going to be really important to making innovation happen in your typical healthcare company, which needs to really completely rethink how it does what it does. Fundamentally need to re-architect how they become digital. They need to re-architect how they think about engagement. You know, when you talk about engagement with the provider, the first thing they usually think about is physician engagement, and we're really talking about patients, right?
Right.
And in the shift from groups, of course, to members, that it's really happening through the large group business and your average payer. Those are really important changes. So we see innovation happening in a variety of ways, but there's some really interesting things that seem to be growing at a pretty good pace, whichever part of healthcare you're talking about. And I'd call that innovation through acquisitions and integrations, right, where you're using the context of a merger or an acquisition to really re-architect your business and create something that is beyond the value estimated by the financial people involved in a transaction, and is more about this strategic execution perspective on how to redesign your business in the context of something that is really major surgery for an organization anyway.
Right.
And how you pull these things off simultaneously, people are much more optimistic and aggressive about making these things happen, because the time to realize value of what that new company can be needs to be shorter than it's been in the past. And healthcare is littered with unattempted or failed integrations, especially in the provider space, where people tend to buy and hold over time, and they never really took the time to think through the IT issues, because that wasn't a major cost component. Sure. Now it's a huge part of any integration you're attempting. So if your case for an acquisition, an integration, or a joint venture, a joint operating agreement, which we're seeing a tremendous amount of uptick in provider space especially, all of that has to be thought through from how are we becoming the organization we need to be, which is substantially different than who we've been.
Right, right. Well, John, I think that you speak to certainly the complexities, the real world situations that we face here as an industry, but as this conference is bringing us, time and again, the end point, the end focus is always on the consumer, isn't it? So absolutely. I think that the job that you're in, I'm sure that you're always focused on that too. And I look forward to hopefully catching up with you at the next summit. My name is Kate Warnock. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be up again in just a moment with another interview. Please join us again.